This is the Criterion Creeps podcast, and tonight we're talking about Contempt from 1963, directed by Jean-Luc Godard. The tagline for this film, more bold, more brazen, and much, much more Bordeaux.
That's weird. I don't like when movie taglines single out actors in the movies.
No, it's like the one with Horse's Mouth.
Yeah.
Of Guinness.
Like the weird Alec Guinness thing. Yeah. Anyways, keep going. That's weird. I don't like that.
And the synopsis here from the Letterboxd.
Uh-huh.
A Philistine in the art film business, Jeremy Prokosch is a producer unhappy with the work of his director. Prokosch has hired Fritz Lang as himself to direct an adaptation of The Odyssey. But when it seems that the legendary filmmaker is making a picture destined to bomb at the box office, he brings in a screenwriter to energize the script. The professional intersects with the personal when a rift develops between the writer and his wife. So, RJ?
Yes?
This is the third time I've seen this film.
Oh, is it like one of your favorite movies?
I know at some point I had rented this, either from the library or like video store, checked it out to see if it was worth buying. And I think this is an argument for why blind buys are a bad idea if you can't afford it.
So wait, you rented it from the library to see if it was worth buying, and then you did buy it, and you watched it 2 more times?
Well, RJ, let me tell you. So I never bought the Criterion, which is out of print.
Okay.
It went back into the hands of Studio Canal or Lionsgate or whatever. Then it got released by Studio Canal on a Blu-ray, and I picked it up from a Superstore bargain bin of all places for $5.
The Blu-ray?
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, so I mean, you can't say no. And I was like, well, I watched that movie when I was a young man. Maybe I just don't remember that well. Maybe watching it now, it'll turn it all around. So it's got a really nice cover. It's got the original painted cover of Bordeaux. So it looks nice. It looks classy. And then I rewatched Contempt after buying that disc a year or 2 ago when I was kind of on a Godard hot streak rewatching of stuff, just getting more into his movies. And now I watch it again this week for hopefully the last time.
So it is one of your favorite movies.
No.
What you're saying.
No, it's not.
So it's confirmed.
I am not a fan of Contempt. And I'll lay out my viewing experience this time out. So I knew going in, I'm like, oh man, this movie's not a good time. It's really dull. So it starts up. And it's got this really nice opening shot. It's very meta. We have a man narrating the credits rather than text appearing on the screen, and we get to see like the dolly track laid down on the ground with the camera operator filming a woman walking down like some European street, and it's kind of like, oh, this is kind of neat. This is novel. This is a nice presence. And then RJ, the camera takes a turn, and then it changes its gaze onto you, the viewer, and the other camera. And it really makes you think, RJ. It makes you think about film craft.
Is it fine artisan film craft, or how would you
some might say it is.
Some might say.
So
yeah.
I was like, yeah, that's like really good. And then it kind of jumps into the wonderful world of Curly, aka Jack Palance, of City Slickers fame, as he's an angry Hollywood producer who kind of like talks to himself. He's in a foreign land, doesn't speak the language. He has a translator that follows him around wherever he goes. Oh, I'm jumping around. I'm sorry. We forgot about Bridget Bardot's butt. So
don't forget that.
We get this footage that looks like terrible. Like it's so grainy, and I'm like, ugh. Why does this look like so cruddy? And there's like a red filter over everything. And it's like this like kind of 2 lovers lying in a bed together, speaking sweet nothings and the things that couples do, I guess, being filmed. And then at some point the lens, like there's like a filter that changes abruptly for no particular reason. Very Godardian. And then it changes to blue. And Bridget Bardot's character, she's saying, what do you think of my ankles? What do you think of my legs? What do you think of my butt? And it's like, I really like your butt. What do you think about my breasts? Oh, I really, really like your breasts.
What about the distinction between the breasts and the nipples, or the nipples, actually?
Yeah.
For that fact,
It's
I was really interested what you would have to say about that.
It's very Seinfeldian.
Well, I feel like it's hard to separate the two, Jared. I don't know about you, but I don't know. Am I not in the know on this, or can you separate breasts from nipples?
Well, it seems like trauma talk to me, but
Yeah, but the point is valid still.
yeah. Anyway, so we get that, and then we're kind of slowly introduced to like what the plot is of this film. We have our writer. He's there. He's on spec, being called in to work on this screenplay that Fritz Lang is directing. Jack Palance. He's pissed. He's not he's not liking these longing shots of statues.
What about the mermaid shot?
Oh,
in a pretty terrific scene.
Boy, Jack is very pleased. He's like, I don't think audiences will appreciate it the way that you and I appreciated Fritz. Oh yes.
Well, this is all well and good for us.
Yeah. I mean, we're of the mind, the capability of understanding such a great moment of art here. That was pretty good. And then he gets pissed off again, hurling a frisbee, a disc. What was he? Oh no, a film canister.
No, it was a stack of film canisters, Jarrett.
Well, he takes one in particular and he flings it. He flings it out.
My favorite scene in this movie is because like I actually didn't really see that coming, where he's like, oh hey Fritz, whoo, and then that like pimply intern kid walks in with all the film cans, and he just like pushes the fuck out of that kid. He's like, you lied to me. I got Curly's gold.
That's right. He's coming to shoot Shane.
Do you want to talk about city slickers at all in this episode? Because I don't know if we've ever talked about that on the podcast.
Yeah, I don't know. So that all happens. But we all kind of know where this is going. Like at least I was like, oh, is Jack Palance going to meet Ryder's wife and make some moves and get very invested, very interested in her? Yes, he is.
Very interested.
And so they hop in their car. Oh yeah, sorry, buddy, there's not enough seats for you. You'll have to take a cab.
I liked that. I thought it was it's an interesting power play, Jared.
And the husband's like trying to like no sell, like, yeah, it's no big deal. I trust my wife. It's cool. And then he eventually like makes his way back to like his place, even though he doesn't know the directions. Can't get a cab. There's like an accident that happens that holds him up. And when he gets there, Bridget Bardot, she's all like put out, and you're like, what's going on?
What were you doing when you left me here for like an entire half hour?
Yeah, what were you doing in those 30 minutes?
So, I gotta say, like, I know that's like the basis of this entire movie is like that premise, but at the same time, it was like I was like, what do you mean? Why are they both giving him shit for taking so long? Like he had to walk there. Like they drove. I know half an hour is a long time, but it's like, I guess he's not like drove there.
He didn't push the issue. He should have been more like, hey, no, you're not doing that with my wife.
He should have been like, hey, you guys fucking drove there and I had to walk. That's why I'm late.
But he said that's fine. He said that was fine. It's like, well, why are you saying that's fine? What is this really about?
I guess. I mean, Jared, that's fine.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So, yeah, Fritz Lang in this, he waxes poetically. He's like he's the nice old man who's reached a certain level of maturity where he's beyond these like mundane things, these day-to-day struggles. He's just trying to make a movie. He's trying to make a movie the way he wants. What do you think? What do you think of this Odyssey film that's being made? How do you think it would have worked?
The Odyssey?
Yeah. The Odysseum.
Odysseum. I think it is a brave strategy to distinguish between the statues with either blue eyes or red lips.
That's the thing, though. I don't know if you're aware. That's how those statues were originally presented back in olden times. They were painted that way.
How the fuck would I know that? I don't have an art history degree. Do you?
I do.
Well, how would I have known?
Okay. Hey, fun fact. That's how they actually were supposedly meant to look, based on the science.
Well, I never knew, Jarrett.
There you go.
I never knew.
Very garish. And people talk about it. It's like, yeah, those are really
garish.
Those palettes did not age well.
Mick garish, if you know what I mean. Anyway, yeah. So what do you think of Fritz Lang's movie?
Okay. It's like, okay, one props to Contempt. The CinemaScope stuff is amazing. It looks so goddamn nice. I'm always a big fan of when a character is really in the frame. It's not like half body shots, close-ups. It is just like you see these people walking and like they're to scale on the in the entire framing of a composition. It always looks so beautiful to me. And so there's a lot of that in this movie when it's in CinemaScope mode, when it's like doing the exteriors where you could actually shoot this stuff well, and not so much when it's in the apartment, in the interiors. We'll get there. So the first like 35 minutes of this movie, I was like, maybe I finally have grown into Contempt. Maybe I've matured. I've hit a point of like understanding movies where I'm like, yeah, I'm liking this. And then RJ, husband and wife, they return to their apartment,
and then what do?
And then they talk. And there's a point where I had checked the runtime at about 34 minutes, and then what felt like an hour had passed, and I checked, and it had been 9 minutes. And this had all happened as soon as they got into the apartment and proceeded to have their spat, their domestic...
Their what, Jarrett?
Their spat.
What's that mean?
They had their argument. They started having their back and forth, a row. This movie slows right on down from that point forward. I've read that some critics talk about how it's groundbreaking and how much they...
In what sense?
I don't know. The critics say things sometimes.
Okay.
Oh, here it is. From the Wikipedia of Contempt. Legacy. The extended apartment sequence that occurs in the film, where Paul and Camille's marriage unfolds, has been praised by critics and scholars. In February 2012, Interiors, an online journal that is concerned with the relationship between architecture and film, released an issue that discussed how space is used in this scene. The issue highlights how Jean-Luc Godard uses this constricted space to explore Paul and Camille's declining relationship. It pretty well says the exact same thing over and over and over again. I just kind of noted.
I feel like that constricted space thing isn't really necessarily true because there's a lot of room in this apartment.
That's a pretty spacious apartment.
I think if you're saying that this is a tight scene, like, I mean, tight in the sense that they're like not agreeing with each other, but there's a lot of room there, Jer.
Yeah.
So I'm calling baloney on that bad boy.
Bologna
on that one.
So you get these two arguing back and forth. They seem to be smoothing things over. And then there's these like things where it's like, oh, why is she wearing this wig?
Why was she wearing the wig, Jarrett?
Well, RJ, I don't know if you recall this information, but Jean-Luc Godard, he had a wife.
And?
Well, his wife, Anna Karina, she had hair like that. Just like that. And then sometimes people go, and so at one point when they were married before this movie was made, his wife and Muse, they went their separate ways. And here we are. Hey, put this wig on. Hey, end of the movie. Let's kill the bitch.
Excuse me?
Hey, I didn't make the movie, but
was she wearing the wig at the end?
No, she wasn't.
Oh, okay.
But there's some.
This is some Fellini stuff.
There's some subtext. I don't know if Fellini had so much.
Jarrett, this is some Fellini stuff right here.
Well, 8.5. I mean, he seemed to be kind of saying, "Hey, I'm kind of a shitbag," you know.
Well, yeah. I mean,
I don't know if Godard necessarily was on board with that. Maybe kind of was, but at the same time, he's like, yeah. But at the end of the day, it's kind of your fault too. I don't know. I'm not a. I'll leave that to the Godard experts.
Which ones?
There seems to be a lot of them. A lot of people like this movie. I've talked to my Godard experts, and I think we're on the consensus that this is lesser early Godard.
You never talked to me about this.
Indeed.
I'm a Godard expert.
There's the moment. There's the whole thing is about the apartment arguing, and I don't know. Your mileage may vary on how much you enjoy that. Then we leave the apartment and we get kind of like back to like the beautiful cinematography, the kind of like the external struggles and like actual other things to look at. Oh, one thing I totally skipped over too was grabbing ass. Fucking that scene with the secretary with the
it seems
the
a little contrived, Jarrett.
It's like real like, whoa, this Paul dude's kind of a piece of shit.
He really, it was in that moment that I was like, did Jarrett write this movie? Because this is a real Jarrett
Well,
move that I've seen him pull many
I
times.
do want to throw out here that also on the Wikipedia I just saw, Paul was described as a young French playwright.
Young, dude's like 48.
He's a rough young, that's for sure.
Well, he does like smoke cigars in the tub. Maybe he's all wrinkled from nicotine.
So he would have been like, 25.
He was 40 for sure.
No, he
wasn't he?
No, 38. But
That's
that's 1963.
That's not young.
Yeah.
Like you're 38 and you don't look young at all. You look like Jack Palance in City Slickers 2. Curly's Gold.
Whoa, that's very specific. Maybe it was like, oh my god, 33? No, 35. Yeah.
Do math better.
I did it. 33, 38, okay. 38 years old.
Yeah, that's not young.
That's not young. I'm 35 right now. I'm not young.
Yeah, I know. You look like
I look
Jack
young.
Palance in City Slickers 2, Curly's Gold.
Hey, I look young, and at 35, I'm not young. And this guy looks like like fucking rough.
It's all that clean living you do over there.
Yeah.
Your teetotaling lifestyle.
Yeah.
But I mean, you do put down a lot of tater tots.
Damn right.
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe your colon's in bad shape, but only time will tell on that one.
On the inside. So yeah, then
tell me more about Contempt.
So Contempt. So we go to the set. It's beautiful, overlooking that ocean. Again, amazing cinematography. The colors, RJ. The use of primary colors in the apartments and all the sets.
What are the primary colors?
Blue,
red, green, and
green.
Is green not a primary color?
No, RJ. That's a
blue, red, and green.
Color. Yeah. What? No. Red, blue,
what are
yellow.
The primary?
Red, blue, yellow. Red,
what are the primary
yellow.
colors?
Holy Christ! You didn't go to art school.
I didn't go to any school.
Yeah, well, the school of hard knocks, just like all the smartest people you'll see on Facebook.
I ain't book smart, but I'm street smart.
Yeah.
You ever heard that one, Jarrett?
Yeah. Yeah, this movie just kind of shambles to a conclusion. Sweet car, Jack Palance drives. I'm sure if I was into cars, I'd be like,
a little jalopy.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. And then he's dead. Weekend style. Dead bodies, blood and gore, Godard style. Maybe like, I should watch Weekend instead.
Is Weekend in the collection?
It is.
Do they have an animal cruelty-free version like Cannibal Holocaust does?
No.
Well, I'm not watching it then. I've heard of that pig scene. I think you told me that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to watch that.
Anyways, RJ. Yeah. Those are my thoughts on Contempt. What did you think of this film?
Well, Jer, I might say something that might shock you. Shock you. I thought Contempt was okay.
No.
I think people would probably expect me to really hate this thing. I mean, I didn't mind it. There were a few things that I thought they did really well. There are definitely like all of your negatives and your criticisms, I feel for sure. There's so many long, lingering scenes where you're just like, oh, man.
Chest hair, am I right?
Oh, fuck. You know what? Even more than chest hair is the back of the neck hair. When that dude's walking around shirtless for like 20 minutes and that little puff of hair on the back of his neck is always just flapping.
Yep.
Just flapping. So maybe this is because it was my first watch and not my third. I think if I had to watch this 2 more times, I would be really resentful of it and just be like, fuck this movie. I hate it.
See, I don't even hate it. I just like...
No, I know.
I never want to watch it again.
I'm saying I would be like that.
Because I would just watch good Godard movies instead.
I watched it once and I would never watch it again.
Yeah.
I can see why it's so I feel like I say this all the fucking time where it's like I see why other people like it. And I don't mean to like sound like an asshole. Like I know something other people don't. It's just I know something other people don't. If you follow what I mean, Jarrett. No, just in the sense that like I think it has all the tenets of what film people are looking for, but for me, I was like, I don't fine artists and film people,
scholars,
critics,
it's academics.
It's like it's got all those, it's got all the touches of.
Well, that's like, I mean, that's the thing that Godard's like totally engaged in, though, as well. Like he is, engaged. With, like his films are essays.
Yeah, well, it's like Fritz Lang playing himself.
Yep.
Check.
Shades of Full Metal Alchemist, the movie.
Ooh, check. I don't know what that means. I only read half of that manga.
You can't read.
I can't read. I looked at the pictures though. So you got famous director playing himself. Check. You have pretentious art house movie that Godard, I think, would have liked to make instead of this.
Well, this movie was expensive to make too, because I
believe it.
Bardot don't come cheap, and they shot on those
it.
like ridiculously expensive camera stock. Man.
So you have that. Double check. You have a movie about movies. Triple check. That's like a Criterion, like instant hit. And even like film dudes too. It's like
that's
movies
actually,
about movies.
So that's one of those things that like would have drawn me to this movie right at the bat. Was like, it's a movie about a movie. Sign me up. And then you get Contempt. And you're like, it's about people arguing in an apartment. It's like, I've been swerved. But I kind of have that same. I've only seen the movie once, and and we will watch it one day again. Day for Night by Truffaut, which was his Contempt, his movie about movies, kind of. And
have you watched any Truffaut yet?
Yeah.
Which one?
Your favorite movie, 400 Blows, RJ.
Wasn't that done by Jean-Luc Godard, starring George Clinton?
Yeah, in RJ World.
Hey, don't even lie. That would be a better movie.
Go on.
So anyways, it's like I was saying, I think this checks all the boxes, even like the recurring cyclical score that happens, which I actually don't mind. I actually like
the casino music.
Yeah, I was like, I'm kind of into this.
I thought you would have hated that.
Yeah,
because you seem particularly taken out of movies by music more than most things.
I usually am, but this was this little jingle, Jarrett, I actually kind of liked. So that was the only reason I think I didn't mind it coming up every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
So that was fine. But then like the colors and all that stuff. So my point in all of that was that I think this checks a lot of the Criterion boxes, and then that checks a lot of fine film craft artisan boxes. So you have those things. So I see why this is a very popular movie for all those dudes and dudettes.
What do you say of though, RJ? Like Sight and Sound critic Colin McCabe, Contempt was the greatest work of art produced in post-war Europe.
Has that guy seen Butt Crack?
Hard to say.
So then then his opinion doesn't really matter, does it? Because he is uninformed and he's ignorant. He's ignorant, Jarrett. So anyways, like I think Contempt like hits a lot of people's sweet spots, so I get it. I thought it was okay. I'm with you. I never want to watch this again. So I don't know where I fit. I think I fall like right in the middle where like, and I feel like I've been doing that too much lately where it's like, I don't care. It's not that I don't care about stuff, but a lot of these movies some of these ones we've been watching lately, I think are very like, I don't care kind of movies where it's like, who gives a shit about this fucking thing? So there's a lot of those like, but it's okay. Like there are things that I do like. I liked Jack Palance in every scene that he was in. I thought he was pretty wicked.
Yeah, he really brought it, didn't he?
I like him. I mean, I look at you every week and I just see a young or an old Jack Palance. Right. So it's like it kind of felt like home, you know. So he was wicked and all that. I didn't mind the score. I thought that was nice, and I liked elements of what they were trying to do and all those things that I was just talking about, like films about films and the Fritz Lang stuff, this and that. Speaking of Fritz Lang, by the way, how hard do you think it would be to hold a monocle in place?
Yeah,
walking around.
It doesn't seem like a good time to me.
It doesn't seem super practical. Like it'd be like that would require a lot of like squinting.
Yeah,
it's like just have glasses.
You'd be doing some real damage. You'd be getting a lot of wrinkles, I think, out of that deal.
Plus, he didn't even have like a chain on that thing. Like he was just freeballing it that whole time.
That's how you do monocle.
Well, you know, some monocles have like a little chain that like almost like a pocket watch that they can like dangle off of their button. So he didn't even have one of those. I was like, oh, fuck, Fritz Lang. This dude's wild. This dude's wild as hell. So what was I talking about? Yeah, I like that stuff. I liked Jack Palance's really tiny book that he would
Oh,
spout wisdom out of.
so tiny.
So tiny. And then I actually did like certain elements of the apartment
Sure.
discourse or whatever. I don't know. Fucking domestic dispute, whatever that thing is. I did like elements of that because I think some of that stuff is like a little bit relatable where it's like, what's wrong?
Mm.
Nothing. Like that stuff. I like that, but it does go on for fucking ever. And I think that's what really holds this movie back is those certain scenes where even even the scene where it's just Bridget Bardot's butt for
Mhm.
like 10 minutes, even that scene's pretty like you want it to be over because you're like, I don't need her listing every single fucking part of her body. What about my hangnails? Do you love my hangnails? Oh, baby, I love your hangnails. Like, like it's kind of ridiculous in how long it goes on. So like that's kind of annoying.
Is it attempting to demystify her, desexualize her by like spending so much time showing her that you're just like indifferent? Is that one of Godard's missions?
I mean, that's not what I took out of it, but
Yeah.
sure.
Sure.
Uh,
See, I just pulled that out of my ass.
Sure.
But doesn't it sound like, oh, maybe it's like,
Oh.
no.
Oh, are you talking about like how tight that apartment is and how that's reflective of their representative of their emotional baggage? Yeah. Well, there's that. And then actually one thing I also didn't like, Jarrett, was the recap scenes where it was like their inner monologue, but it was like them narrating what they were thinking. They're like, and I was like, why did she do that? And then it kind of like replays the scenes that just happened. I was like, I don't really like that. But again, I feel like other people would.
And then the music starts again.
That's what the music sounds like. So there's that. I don't really like the ending because I was kind of like, for a sec, like it starts out and Jack Palance's car like really hops before it like turns into the interstate. And I thought in my head, I was like, is he going to crash that car?
Of course he is.
And then they did. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, I was like, all right. Like, that seems like, I think if someone were to do that now, people would kind of like make fun of it because of how hard they were trying to like go out on an edge. Jared, going out on an edge. So like, yeah, I don't like the ending very much. What else? What else kind of shit do you want me to throw at this thing? Oh, okay. Since you brought it up, and this isn't like, I think it's applicable for a few reasons. So you mentioned that this is no longer available through Criterion, but it's a studio canal.
Yep.
There have been a few Criterion movies that are no longer or in print through Criterion that are studio canals, and we've watched a couple. Studio canals opening is the most obnoxious fucking thing.
That music
Where it's like it's a pole whistle. It's like ooh, and then it's like birds. Like it's like ha ha.
Yeah.
And it's like the goofiest fucking, like it's in your face obnoxious. And every time I hear it, I'm always like, that can't be fucking real. That there's no company on the world that was like, oh yeah, that's really, I love that sound. That's good for a brand.
Fat beats,
man. So yeah, Studio Canal's opening is all sorts of horrible. And I feel like when I watch that now, I associate it with like bad movies almost. And it's like, But anyways, I thought Contempt was fine. Like it, I don't know. Contempt, fucking Lubitsch Touch, that other movie we watched a week or before. I don't care. Am I not the best co-host? What do you think of this movie? I don't give a shit.
Well, we had to contend with the Monterey Pop Festival as well.
Oh, yeah, but I was okay with that. You were the one. You were the not giving a shit on that one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So anyways, Contempt is like a movie that we both watched.
It sure was. It's just like, I don't know, Godard, man. He's done some good ones. This is just one of those, it's in between there.
Has he done some good ones?
I think so.
Like what?
Was it La Si Va Bien? The one, I think is what it's pronounced.
Who did Jules and Jim?
Not Godard.
Was George Clinton in that one?
Yeah, I think so.
Nice.
I think so, buddy.
in my mind, those are better movies. The ones that I make up.
We'll get our chance to see some more Godard here in like a month.
Will we?
We will.
Oh yeah, there is one coming up soon, isn't there?
Band Apart.
Is that a good movie?
I think it's better than Contempt.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Anyways.
Vivre
sa vie is, I think, the best, but...
Viva what now?
Vivre sa vie.
Okay.
Anyway, hey RJ, who
Yes?
hates Contempt?
Probably some people that are really annoyed by it, man.
All right, well, let's find out. Half a star from Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
I really wish I liked Godard because I'm a movie-loving, artsy, pretentious dipshit, but he just makes boring trash that doesn't resonate with me. Every movie is just someone standing around with a cigarette, rolling their eyes at someone else reading statistics from a newspaper. If I want boring French shit that's at least watchable and nifty, I'll get down with Truffaut. If I want good French shit, Melville all the way.
Melville who?
Jean-Pierre Melville, director of Bob Le Flambeau.
Bob Le Flamble?
Yeah.
I like Bob Le Flamble. Okay, so... hey, Jarrett, Daniel's pretty fucking edgy, man.
Oh, yeah.
His bio, I'm an insane person who sometimes just writes whatever instead of a review because I got bored of the movie. I watch a lot of trash horror films as well as a bunch of artsy bullshit that I'm probably fucked to the gills on drugs getting really into. Yakuza flicks and old Eastern Euro pictures show up from time to time. And sometimes I review just whatever's on.
What kind of t-shirt do you think he wears?
A black t-shirt, apparently, if his picture is anything. So this guy's talking about all these like crazy movies he likes, but I just want to point out that he gave 5 stars to Iron Man 3. I'll just leave it at that. Whatever. I don't need to read anymore.
That's good enough.
Yep.
Half a star from Steven. Second worst movie of the year next to La Ventura.
Hey, someone we can relate to.
I hated it. I hate Godard. There isn't a movie here. The statements are so boring and poorly executed, and it's not even a beautiful movie to look at, as people tend to say. I also read something Martin Scorsese wrote about it, and he described the argument as being so authentic. The guy literally tried to pimp out his wife, and then for 20 minutes straight was just like, "You're mad? What? What did I do? What? Horrible, and made even more horrible because of how much praise this gets."
Nice. So a lot of Dans and Steves, eh?
Yeah, there's another one too.
Okay, so Steve doesn't have a edgy bio or anything, but I think Steve is a guy that we could get along with. 5-star movies include like Brief Encounter, Lawrence of Arabia, or Debt, which isn't really a 5-star movie, but I mean, it's there. But he gave half stars to like The Dark Knight Rises, Point Break, that Catherine Bigelow jam that we were talking about in the preamble, Mulholland Drive, a half a star. Doesn't seem fair. And then Criterion Nobility. Nobility?
Royalty?
Nobility?
Either
Nobility?
one.
Royalty? Armageddon. So whatever.
That's too bad. Yeah. Finally, Daniel Jensen?
Or
what does that say?
Emrin?
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
So sometimes I copy and paste these things, and the font is so tiny. It's like,
yes, just don't.
Half a star.
Yeah.
I think Hell is a never-ending Godard film, and in a sense, I think each one of his movies gives you a window into that world by never fucking ending.
Good.
Contempt is another horrible Godard film in which 2 non-characters espouse unmotivated nonsense at each other in 3 equally boring scenes. I don't know why people put up with this.
You know what people don't put up with? Your shit, Daniel Imrin. His bio says, "I exist only to watch movies and be wrong about them." How do you like that, Jarrett? His high stars and low stars aren't really anything to talk about, but he just gave Passion of the Christ 2 stars, which I think is unfair, and he just gave Into the Spider-Verse 2 stars, Jarrett.
Come on.
2 stars. So you don't get much worse takes than that.
Well, there you go.
That's it. That's it, man.
Yeah. It's something I can hopefully put behind me.
What, Contempt?
Yep.
Well, when you reboot the Criterion Creeps and you start this over with a new co-host right from Spine 1, you will have to watch this again eventually.
That might be motivation to just not do it again. Maybe maybe your job's safe.
Maybe your next co-host will be better.
And better than ever.
I would have said something else, but sure. Sure.
All right, RJ.
Yes?
I think that's it.
Is it?
I think so.
Good.
After the break, RJ leaves me for Jack Palance.
Fuck, I wish. I'm sick of you. I want Jack Palance in my life.
But I'll like walk, longingly up the stairs, smoking my cigarettes, looking like a bag of shit, being described as a young writer, looking longingly at the ocean. Isn't that all we want in life?
No one's ever described you as young.